Another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And today we are once again going to go through another book. Since yesterday we've finished up with Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. A pretty interesting read around being courageous and not having fear and not being feared of what may come, what is coming, and putting things a bit into perspective, I feel like. But today we are going to go through another book. I don't know which book yet because I haven't had a look at all of them up to this point, but I'm going to do so now. I'm going to do so with you. Best book, or are we gonna we're gonna choose the netaliason.com site because of quality reasons, I guess. The bestbookbits.com site is great, it is nice and whatnot, but I would argue that it is not the best site, especially when you're just searching for very, very, very high quality summaries. This may not be the best place to look for something like that. I would say, but I'm actually not quite sure. We could also afterwards have a look at the Derek Sivers or Scythe.rs site, which then stands for Sivers, which has not actually always been the case. It's fairly new that he has named the site in this way. Anyway, what are we gonna go through the book notes? We're gonna do so. Can I actually hear myself? Yes, I can. That's great. The newest. Let's see if there's something new. Wanting. Pop explanation of René Girard's Anthropology of Mimetic Theory. We all imitate, but are rarely aware of it. Many relatable examples, though not a clear takeaway. 4,000 weeks. Give up hope and embrace your limits. Everything you do means giving up something else. Say yes to less. He's one of my favorite authors, so wonderfully thorough, but I already agree and I'm living this way. Still, I'd recommend it to anyone. 100 ways to improve your writing, Beyond Order, The Art of Creative Thinking, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day. Delightful, quick, droll, funny old book from 1908 about how to make the best use of your time. I like his written voice. I like his points on poetry, novels, curiosity, empathy, martyrs, reading the news, and of course making the most of every minute you have. River Out of Eden, How to Think More Effectively, The School of Life. The questions behind the question, that how of Wu. Let's actually see if have I gone through How to Live on 24 Hours a Day. It is only the bad parts of novels that are difficult. A good novel rushes you forward like a skiff down a stream, and you arrive at the end, perhaps breathless, but unexhausted. The best novels evolve the least strain. Let me actually get rid of my chewing gum so that I can talk a little bit better. Maybe a bit nicer. Does this make a difference? Hello? No, it doesn't. It should be fine, therefore, that things are as they are. Let's have a quick look at, is there a self-development / self-improvement section? I do not think so. Is there a newest section? All? What about all? No, there isn't really. So, psychology, productivity, philosophy. Maybe there's something in the philosophy section. I don't know. Or we are gonna choose Wanting 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkemann. We're gonna go through that one. So 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkemann. 4,000, by the way, written out, not as a number. It was rated 8 out of 10 by Derek Sivers. And I'm going to read you this little small introductory thing so that you can somehow see what this is gonna be all about. Let's do it like this. Give up hope and embrace your limits. Everything you do means giving up something else. Say yes to less. He's one of my favorite authors, so wonderfully thorough. But I already agree and I'm living this way. My hell yeah or no was about this subject. Still, I would recommend to anyone. Well, just for a little bit of an explanation, hell yeah or no means either it is a full body, full heart, yes, I want to do that. Why is it so fucked up? Is it now better? Yes, it is way better. So either it is a complete yes, your whole body saying yes to the situation that you're facing, the decision that you're willing to make, the decision that you're having to make, or it is a no. So when it is not a yes, fucker, I want to really do that, then it is a no. It's not something like, okay, maybe I'm gonna do this if this and that and these and those happens. No, it is a no, a clear no. This is what it is. Period. My notes. There's actually some length to this book notes or book summary, article, whatnot. Think of this book as an extended argument for the empowering potential of giving up hope and embracing your limits. Can't rush natural life. Doing a month's milking in a single day to get it out of the way. Try to make the harvest come sooner. No anxious pressure to get everything done because a farmer's work is infinite. There will always be another milking and another harvest forever, so there is no sense in racing towards some hypothetical moment of completion. The rhythms of life emerge organically from the tasks themselves. Babies are the ultimate task-oriented beings. Some of the other worldliness of those first few months with a newborn, you're dragged from clock time into deep time. Deep time, forgetting the watch and plunging back into the vividness of reality. So you're either having deep time or you're having probably sleep time. One thinks with a watch in one's hands and the opposite of deep time. Yeah. You don't have time for everything you want to do or that other people want you to do. So stop beating yourself up for failing. Once you become convinced that something you have been attempting is impossible, it is a lot harder to keep on beating yourself for failing. Yeah, but I think it is very difficult to say that, is it really impossible to do that? Can't I stretch myself to such a big extent, or maybe to such an extent, that I can actually do so? Can't I do that? Isn't that possible? And sometimes we can find ourselves that it is possible, and it is fine, and we can do it. But sometimes it is also just not the case. We cannot do anything about X, Y, and Z. It is what it is. But sometimes we just can. And so it is a very difficult subject for me because I always try to get everything done that I'm willing to get done and that I think that I'm having to get done. Of course, sometimes it may not really be the case that I have to get done X, I have to get done Y, I have to get done Z, but of course I kind of feel like doing so. I kind of feel like that I'm having to do this, that, and or the other thing, and then I just try to do so. But yeah, I derive so much of my sense of self-worth from work. Surrender the craving for mastery and dive into the unknown instead. Well, I could actually also do it like this. Resist the seduction temptation to keep your options open in favor of deliberately making big, daunting, irreversible commitments. They prove more fulfilling in the end. Yeah, it is something I really clearly know. I tend to do that as well. I tend to be in this space of mind of, okay, I'm going to keep this option open for me, so maybe in the future I want to actually do that. But it is, yeah, I kind of dislike that. I don't necessarily think that it is a good idea. One should just make just, quote unquote, and of course it is not that easy as just saying just, but one should make decisions that are going to be the least stressful in the future. So what is it going to be? But stressful in a negative sense. Of course, good things, they can also be stressful. They can also stress you out, but in a good manner, in a good way. Ah, I see. Meaningful productivity often comes not from hurrying things up, from letting them take the time they take. I'm sorry, but from letting them take up the time they take. When people stop believing in an afterlife, everything depends on making the most of this life. Well, I would say so as well. Even if it is difficult, like it really heavily depends on which space you're in, so on and so forth. But still, whatever you believe, I wouldn't necessarily be quote unquote convinced maybe when you are in a certain situation. But yeah. The more firmly you believe in ought to be impossible to find time for everything, the less pressure you'll feel to ask whether any given activity is the best use for a portion of your time. Whenever you encounter some potential new item for your to-do list or your social calendar, you'll be strongly biased in favor of accepting it, because you'll assume you needn't sacrifice any other tasks or opportunities in order to make space for it. Yet, because your time is finite, doing anything requires sacrifice. The sacrifice of all the other things you could have been doing with that stretch of time. If you never stop to ask yourself if the sacrifice is worth it, your days will automatically begin to fill not just with more things, but with more trivial or tedious things, because they never had to clear the hurdle of being judged more important than something else. Commonly, these will be things that other people want to do, to make their lives easier, and which you didn't think to try to resist. Resist the urge to consume more and more experiences. Fully enjoy the tiny slice of experiences you actually do have time for. Choose a few things, sacrifice everything else, and deal with the inevitable sense of loss that results. Sounds so bad actually, but in the end it is really kind of the case, because you can't do everything. It is just what it is. You can't do anything about that. You're having finite time. You should probably choose those things that are most important to you, and also doing the things that are most important to you. But yeah, spend each day as if it were your last, quote unquote. By the way, it always might be. Don't depend upon a single moment of the future. Being alive is just happenstance, and not one more day of it is guaranteed. Yeah, really quite the case. But of course, I I've read it so often. You have probably read it so often. It's just it's nothing new. People are talking about that. People are saying like you should be happy for every single day that you're having, for every single minute and second and even millisecond that you're having. But very often it's just very difficult to think in that way, because life is not always easy, and it's not always easy to live. But it really is the case. And it really is something that I still need to work on, to see that, okay, this particular day, this particular moment that I'm just experiencing, it is as valuable as anyone else that I'm going to experience later on. Of course, it is fucked up when you're ill, and I'm really happy that I'm not. I really am. On the other hand, why is this moment worse than something that I might be looking forward to? For example, the weekend. Today's Friday, been looking forward to tomorrow and whatnot, but shouldn't I also enjoy today as much as tomorrow, or as I'm gonna enjoy tomorrow? Of course, it is a different day, and there are reasons for why I'm looking forward to it. There's this is just the case. But on the other hand, like it is like it doesn't make any sense. Why is this period of time worse than another when it's just actually kind of the same, or somehow the same, but still. What do you think about it? I do really hope that I've been able to give you some thought. Period. Yeah, and I hope we're going to see you the next time. So bye bye.